My name is Luke Smith from Simply Converting, and I'm going to break down exactly what we're doing with Google Shopping campaigns, particularly Smart and Performance Max campaigns and we'll go through a few of these problems shortly, but when we can't optimize on platform as much as we used to, with Google automating more and more things and taking away the controls from the media buyers and the business owners. So what I'm going to run through is three very specific Google Shopping optimizations that, to be honest, most e-com brand owners wouldn't know, and a lot of agencies aren't really deploying. These are the things we've really been dialing in this year and working with in the background for our clients. We use them for all of the e-com stores we work with, and we generate more orders typically without increasing ad spend. So first thing we want to do is lay these foundations and see if we can increase the order value without just adding ad spend into the Google platform. That's what Google wants, but it's not necessarily always in the best interest of the client. So we want to lay these foundations and see if we can improve results without injecting any more cash in the short term. So there's a couple of problems with a few of the things that are happening with Google, and one being automation and lack of transparency. So you can see here in Google's own documentation, basically all of they're saying with Performance Max and automations here with shopping, they want you to just set the budgets, business goals, and conversions you want to measure. They'd be happy if that's all you did and made sure that they were accurate, and then the machine can take over the rest. So Google Ads automation will then find potential customers for your goals and serve the most appropriate ad with the optimal bid to maximize campaign performance. So more and more levers are getting taken away from media buyers and business owners, and particularly Google Shopping is getting very automated with a real push towards Performance Max. So our way of thinking about optimizing campaigns is changing, and I think it should for a lot of businesses. And I'll walk through a few of the things we're doing to try and combat this, but also move in the same direction, because you can't fight these kind of changes. But we want to make sure that we're moving in the same direction and the right direction so that we can improve results for clients ongoing. Here's how Google suggests you should optimize for Performance Max. So they suggest that you should set it up as per best practice and leave it for 6 weeks. So again, they're saying we'll automate, you supply the creatives, you supply the headlines, descriptions, and then just leave it for 6 weeks, let it optimize, really let it lean into the algorithm and optimize towards the conversions that you've set, and we'll see what we can do. So use as many assets as possible and run campaigns for at least 6 weeks here. But what should we be doing in the background? There's a number of things that we can do whilst this is working in the background, or even before launch ideally. The second problem is that auto applying suggestions and setting up Performance Max, a lot of these are around increasing budget, and you can see an example here where one of the suggestions is to raise your budget, but at the end of the day we can't always just increase spend. And here the main thing to note here is that it's actually saying that it's going to cost you, even though you get 3.99 additional conversions, it's still going to be higher per conversion in terms of cost, and it's going to cost you another $719 on estimate per week. So be sure not to just get drawn by the plus 3.99 conversions in this instance, and have a look at the subtext, because the subtext actually reveals a bigger story, and we try and opt out of a lot of these auto applies and look at each individually on a case-by-case basis before we deploy any of these recommendations. The third problem with what's happening at the moment is that Performance Max is a bit of a black box, and so when you're trying to segment where the ads are running, whether it be YouTube, display, or search, you get cross-network here. You can see if you go to segment in the account, you go to network with search partners, it's just going to come up as cross-network, whereas if this was a search campaign, you might see search, you might see search partners, you might see display if you're running with display select. So you really don't know where your ads are running, and that can be problematic. The fourth thing is you can't exclude, and what tends to happen is you'll see a lot of low-cost conversions come through something like a Performance Max if you set it up and let it run. But what could be happening, especially if you don't have dedicated brand search campaigns, is it could be cannibalizing, or it could be bringing in some of those conversions that are actually coming through brand search. So there's no real ability to exclude brand keywords unless you have a dedicated Google rep and they can submit a form on their side and do it in the background, in the back end. But for the average business owner and marketer, it's a bit tough, or it's actually not possible to exclude these brand queries and other queries that might not be relevant, generic search queries, for example. It also poses brand safety concerns. So when you don't know where the ads are running, what kind of placements are you running across, and there's no real control there either. So the question becomes, how can we optimize with all of this automation going on? So if we can't do what we would normally do with optimizations around negative keywords and all these kind of things that you could do with the traditional standard search campaign, and we're getting pushed more and more to automation, how can we optimize these campaigns? How can we get more orders through for our existing budget? Well, what we're doing and what we see the solution long term to be is off-platform optimization. So what are off-platform optimizations? Well, first we would have to look at what on-platform optimizations are, and these are our traditional levers that we pull. Some examples would be bids and bid adjustments, time of day, day of week, budget movements, moving budget between campaigns to get some overall account efficiency there, testing ads, headlines, creatives, all these things that we would typically do, adding negative keywords, which we touched on earlier. So as a lot of these get sort of pulled back and removed from our plate, we're looking more and more towards off-platform optimizations, and what we're talking about there is really working with the feed and really optimizing the feed so that what we're putting into this automated system is getting read correctly by Google, and it's getting better matched with our ideal customers, our ideal end users. And so there's a few key things that we're doing with these off-platform optimizations, and that's what I'm going to run through. One being mapping key fields. So firstly, we'd want to make sure that the data coming in from the feed is able to be read and read well by Google. And it's really interesting to see the level of detail that Google actually provides us here. If we have a look, they actually rate a lot of these attributes, and when we're looking at fields, they have required fields, they have fields that are dependent on check the attributes related article to understand if you need to submit this attribute for your products. Sometimes the requirements change depending on which countries your products show in, so it may or may not be required depending on where you are, but they have optional fields, and this is where the magic can lie. Adding in those additional fields, the ones that are optional, the ones that most businesses aren't adding, so that you can better match your product with a user that might be opening to purchasing one of 10 products there displayed. So you want to put yours up on the pedestal, you want to get a better relevancy, higher ad rank, and serve more ads to the right people. And that comes from adding these optional fields. So a good example of this would be Google product categories, right? So how does Google interpret and read your products? You can align your products with Google's predefined categories so that it knows exactly where your products fit in its segmentation. The other one is product type, and we'll go through that shortly. That's another optional field. This one is hugely beneficial, and you can actually use keyword research to make your product type hierarchy, and you can have up to 5 levels, as keyword dense as possible and as relevant as possible, so that you can use this not only to better match your products with people that are searching for those products, but also you can use these to segment and optimize your campaigns. So this one feeds directly into on-platform optimizations too, and we've got an example of that coming up. There's just a couple of examples here. This is a great article called Product Data Specification. As you go down, you can see in the definition section, a quick reference, you'll get this table drop down. It's great to see the optional fields that you can add to beef up your shopping feeds. Google categories is one that we always make sure as a base level we've got defined. The second one that we always do is product title optimization. So this is really impactful when you look at click-through rate, but also having more keywords in your product title. So if, for example, you're selling candles and you start to see in your search term reports or in your data that a lot of people are looking for the weight of a candle or the size of a candle or the scent of a candle, you want to make sure that that's in the headline. So if it's a 350 gram candle that someone's looking for, and your candle is that exact weight or within that sort of weight range, you can show that. Things like the color, material, if they're looking for soy candles in that same example, and that's not in your product title, you can actually use product feed adjustments to update that title attribute and add soy into the product title so that you can better match your product, your soy product, with people looking for soy candles specifically, and that's going to increase the likelihood of conversion. Here's the best practices that Google lays out for titles. So put the most important details first in your title. Use keywords. So keywords will help connect your product with a person's search and help them recognize what you're selling. Your keywords could include these types of product details. So product name, brand name. Brand name is one that we often do place in our product titles, especially if the client we're working with has a large brand presence. If someone's typing brand name plus candle, you want to make sure the brand name's in the title so that they immediately recognize that that's the brand they're looking for, and competitors can't sort of gain some of that click traffic. Here's another example. What is the product area? So in apparel, if it's maternity, put that in the product title. If it's a waterproof mascara, make sure that the word waterproof is in the title. And the key thing to note with product title optimizations is there's long titles and short titles. And we typically focus on long titles, but short titles also are great to optimize because they can help across Gmail, YouTube, Discovery, all of these other more display style browsable platforms and placements, that you can optimize and try and pick up a few more clicks, increase the click-through rate there. When we're looking at long titles, here's a couple of structures that you can use. So when we're looking at inputting certain things, certain attributes into the title and beefing it up, making it a little bit longer, a bit more keyword heavy, including brand, for example, you can have the brand name first and then what kind of product it is, color and the material. You can have brand, size, what kind of product it is, and then color. All different ways you can rearrange these, and you can pull in as much information as you'd like. But the thing to keep in mind is, what are people searching, what keywords are they using, and what is the most important information you can show them, and trying to bring that up first, trying to bring that up in the front end of the product title, because it does only show, you can see here, the first 70 or so characters. Here's an example in practice that we've done with the client. So the title coming through in the feed originally was Explorer Blush Pink Tulip. We've added the brand name at the front there, and then we've got the title, the existing title, still pulling in Explorer Blush Pink Tulip. We've also added Kids Waterproof Raincoat because we know that that's what people are searching based on keyword research. Waterproof is a key term. We want to be very clear that it's a kid's raincoat. The size is also included, so they're also searching for size. So we've got 0 to 1 here, and then we've got a bit of a benefit-focused snippet from the description at the end. Roomy fit, perfect for layering. And that's one of the key selling points of this specific product. So you can see it's a much more robust title. Here's another example in the candle space, in the homeware space. You can see Vanilla and Oak Moss Brushed Silver Vessel. Again, we've got the brand name at the front there, followed by the existing title with a weight. It's a woodwick candle, and we know that people do search for that kind of candle. And then burn time is something that people don't necessarily search for, but can make it stand out in the shopping feed when they're comparing to competitors. And then luxury candle range as well. That's specific to the range of these candles specifically, but people do search a lot for luxury candles. So again, that's very keyword heavy. Trying to better match our luxury candles with people looking for luxury candles. They're more likely to pay a higher price if they're searching with that kind of terminology. So let's try and match our products with those people, right? Here's an example in real time. Generic search query, waterproof kids overalls, and you can see this is a non-brand generic search query. So looking at all of the competitors, we've got kids waterproof overalls in the title. It shows up first, likely because we've got a higher rank, likely because we've got these exact keywords in the title itself. So as a consumer, which one would you click on is probably going to be the one with the exact wording that you've used, the exact keywords that you've used, and it's exactly relevant to the product that's being shown as well. And then the reviews as well, if you can add those in, that helps stand out certainly. The short title examples, here's an example from Google. It's optional, but again, anything that's optional is a strategic advantage for you to use with your brand, because it means that others probably won't go the extra mile to use it. Women's yellow pants, you can see it's much less in terms of characters. I think it's only 60, 70 characters that a short title can be, and these are only been introduced relatively recently. So if you can cut them down, take key snippets from your longer titles and run them as short titles, I would recommend doing so. Finally, product type optimization. So along with product titles and mapping the essential fields like size, material, color, all these kind of things, when you're looking at product types, this really helps Google again match with keywords, match users who are searching specific terminology and specific words to your feed and your products on your feed. So you can see when you submit a product type, Google's saying we can better understand what you're selling, and when we understand what you're selling, we can help connect users with your products. So it's all about helping Google here. We're just trying to help the algorithm, help Google understand exactly what you're selling and who they should be matching it to. So when you match this with a key conversion event, conversion-based bidding, all of these automations that Google's pushing on platform, it's kind of the perfect match. Here's an example of the product type optimization. So we're looking at Explorer Blush Pink Tulip in this example. And we've got 5 layers of product types. So we've got apparel and accessories. We're telling Google this is apparel and accessories. Not only that, but it's clothing, it's kids clothing, it's jackets, but it's also waterproof jackets. It's not just jackets. And it's blush pink raincoat. So we're also making sure that we're including the word raincoat in there because it's heavily searched, high converting term, as well as the color. So giving it as much information as possible and including keywords where we can, whilst creating a hierarchy that allows us to optimize. And you'll see what I mean here in a second. So here's that in practice, but inside the Google platform. So once you apply those product types, you can actually segment your campaigns by what you've assigned here: apparel and accessories, kids, waterproof jacket, blush pink raincoat. So you can see the 5 levels labeled here. So apparel and accessories, you can see, if I zoom in a tad, you can see clothing as number 2, then you've got adult and kids, and then as number 4 you've got waterproof overalls, waterproof jackets, and then a final layer you've got colors. So you can see here the difference in return on ad spend. So it's 2.74 here, you can see for adults, and kids is 6.42. So immediately we know we can bid differently between adult and kids. And then within kids, you've got waterproof jackets, waterproof overalls. And again, you can see overalls has a return on ad spend of 7, with jacket having a return on ad spend of 5.7. So again, how can we upweight overalls in this instance? And then you can dig deeper into that 5th level and say, okay, well, within waterproof overalls, we've got the blue raincoat, we've got ink navy, we've got lavender. And wow, lavender is a 15 times return on ad spend. But it's only getting a third of the traffic as the blue raincoat. So should we be bidding higher on the lavender raincoat if there's available stock, so that we can we can upweight this and push more of this product at a higher return on ad spend. So it's really amazing how you can use these attributes not only to better match Google and user search queries with your products on Google and really help the algorithm there, but also on platform. It does feed into on platform optimizations and increasing your return on ad spend here. So it's an extremely powerful thing to do that, to be honest, very little people are doing right now, and there should be more conversation about it. The tool that we use to do all of this is Data FeedWatch. So we rely heavily on this tool to optimize feeds and add it into Google Merchant Center and update things for the client on the client's behalf. If this is something that you need help with, you'd like to look into, you'd like to have a chat about, if you're already doing it and you've got some feedback or you'd like to converse about this, let me know. You can reach me at simplyconverting.com, and I'm on LinkedIn here. This is the profile. It's Luke Smith, probably hard to find, but you'll see this little yellow ring. You'll be able to find me on LinkedIn. So I hope that was helpful, and would love to hear from you. Just reach out and we can have a chat.